So we're now looking at 7A.2. We're still identifying key features of a polynomial. And everything we're going to be doing today is intervals. So intervals are things that have a starting point and a stopping point. Okay, where does it start? Where does it stop? So we have 3, different types of intervals with 6 different things, actually. So we have what we call our domain. And domain you've learned before with like quadratics and stuff. And you with like lines and other functions. All possible x values. Okay, so every x value your graph could be. And so we go, and we always go from left to right. And domain is going to be the easiest because we're just dealing with polynomials. And polynomials have nothing weird. I can plug in any number. So we say the domain is negative infinity to infinity. It can go to the left forever, and they go to the right forever. Okay. Our range is all possible y values. And for range, we always go from bottom to top. And for range, you can have a few different things. A lot of times it'll be like the lowest point to infinity, or negative infinity to the highest point, and some of them will be negative infinity to infinity. Okay. So we'll kind of look at that one more too. Positive, the interval where your graph is positive is all the numbers where it's above the x-axis. So really, your y value is positive. Okay. So you can have negative x, a negative, like from -3 to -2 or whatever. The y value could be positive. And we go left to right. And an easy way to remember this is it goes from x-intercept to another x-intercept. So we're always kind of stopping at our x-intercepts for these ones. Okay, again, the very confusing thing about interval notation is it could look like a point, but it's not a point, it's a start and a stop. Alright, our next thing we have is our negative. Very similar, it's below the y-axis. Or, sorry, the y values are negative, so below the x-axis. And same thing, goes left to right. And again, that's going to be an x-intercept to an x-intercept. If the graph is increasing, then it's going up. From left to right. Everything we do is left to right, just like how we would like read. I'm down, I guess. Okay. And it is, again, it's just like this, left to right. And usually we have a min, right, increasing. Not usually, always. It's a minimum to a maximum. Okay, so a low point to a high point, which makes sense if it's lower and then the next thing's higher. You have to go up to get from the lower point to the higher point. And then our last definition. Another color. And then decreasing is going down. From left to right. And it's just the opposite of your increasing. It's always going to start at a maximum point and go to a minimum point. Alright, so let's look at our examples. Example 1, right, our domain. Again, domain is all about how far left to how far right you're going. Remember, these graphs continue on forever. So technically, this graph, while it is mostly moving down, it's also moving slightly this way, and then slightly this way as it goes up. So it's never going to stop going to the left and going to the right. So our domain does go from negative infinity to infinity. And we write that in interval notation as negative infinity, infinity. It looks like a point, it's not a point. Okay, so it's kind of using context clues of what it's talking about to know if it's a point or if it's an interval. Okay. Then we have our range. Range is how far down to how far up it goes. Anytime you see these arrows, right, this is going down forever. And again, down is at negative infinity because these are our negative numbers. This arrow is going up forever, so this is positive infinity. So this range is also going from negative infinity to infinity. So we'll write it in our interval notation. The next thing we have is positive. So where is it above the x-axis? We have to kind of use our x-intercept. So I always start at negative infinity to our first x-intercepts. Okay, so from drawing a line through that first x-intercept, this part of the graph is below. So we say, right, from negative infinity to the x value of negative 3. We use our x value, not our y value. So that was below, so that's on our negative. Right, then looking at our next x-intercepts, right, we put negative 2. Right, this part right here is positive, so we say negative 3 to negative 2. We write that as negative 3 comma negative 2, right? I want to keep writing this to make sure we know what this means, that it's from negative 3 to negative 2. Okay, but as you get more and more used to it, you don't have to write it every time. Looking at our next x-intercepts, which is here, right? All of this is negative. So that's going to be, we were just at negative 2, right, from here to here, to 1. And then there is no more, so it's just our last part, right? It's on this side, it starts at 1 and goes to infinity. Okay. So I don't just answer the positive and then answer the negative. I usually break it into those pieces and answer kind of both as I go along. Okay. All right, now we want to look at increasing and decreasing, and I get rid of all of the marks. Maybe. Okay. I'm going to try and get rid of all of the marks that we just drew. Okay, so increasing and decreasing starts is using our max and our mins now instead of our x-intercepts. So again, I'm going to look for our first max or min, which is here. So again, I'm going to draw just a line through it. And again, it's from here to here. So again, we start over here, negative infinity, to that negative 2.5. And I'm just calling it negative 2.5 because it doesn't line up nicely, right? It's the same type of thing we did. This is the same graph we did in our last notes. So again, that's going from low to high. So that's increasing. Then we want to look at our next point, our next max or min, which is here. I'm going to draw that. And again, we're using our x values. So this is going from a high point to a low point. It's decreasing. That's starting at negative 2.5. So awful today. And going to, this looks to be 0. That's the x value. There are no other max or mins, but we have to finish the rest of our graph, right? We still have to do this part over here, which is going from a low point to a high point. So that's starting at 0 and going to infinity. All right, and that's it for that. So lots of different things, lots of ways of looking at it. It's going to take a lot of practice. All right, so let's look at our next one. Again, our domain, we really should start recognizing that all polynomials, or we want to start recognizing that all polynomials have a range of negative infinity to infinity, right? They're always going to go left forever and right forever. Then our range, how far down our graph, how the bottom to the top, right? So this goes down forever. And then it does not go up forever. My highest points are right here, which is at 3. So sometimes I'll draw a line across to see where it is. So our range is going from negative infinity till 3. This is the only one that uses the y value. Where is it positive and negative? Again, we're going to draw lines through our x-intercepts. I'm just going to do all of them first. Okay, and we have negative infinity over here and infinity over here. Okay. So our first one, negative infinity, to our first one, negative 4. This part of the graph is below, so that's negative. So it's going from negative infinity to negative 4. Our next part of our graph, right, it's starting at negative 4 and going till negative 2. That's positive. 4, 2, negative 2. Again, this is not the points, some point over here, right? It's from here to here, it's above the x-axis. Our next one, negative 2 to 1. This part here is below. Our next part, 1 to 3, is above. And then our next part is, right, 3 until the end of our graph. So 3 to infinity. Then the last part of this is to find our increasing and decreasing. And again, increasing and decreasing now has to do with our maxes and our mins. Now that we've seen a problem, I'm going to try and keep all the other work up there so that we kind of get used to doing all of this at the same time. So our increasing and decreasing, let's draw pink lines, through our maxes and mins. So here's a max, here's a min, here's a max. Okay? So we're going to start with our, from left to right. Right? From, right? So starting here, I'm going up to get to that point. So we started at negative infinity, right, this side of the graph, and we went to this line at negative 3. Then we are going from this line down to this line, right? From here to here, I went down. So we went from negative 3 to this line, which is, I think, again, we said that was like negative 0.5-ish. Again, it's where this line is, right, in between 0 and negative 1. Then, the next thing we're doing between our next two lines, right, here to here, we're going up from negative 0.5, that line, to our next line, which is at 2. And then our next line is going down. So that's from 2 to positive infinity. Sorry, I put negative even though I was saying positive infinity because it's going off over here. It's going down, but we're looking at x values. Okay. All right, we're just going to look at one more problem, and we're going to look at one of our table problems. Over 2 pages. Get that page again. We'll do the graphs in class again. Why is this not letting me? Okay, it really don't want me to zoom in, so I guess we won't. And let's look at example 5. We're going to start by sketching our graph, just like we did before. So we have negative 1, 10, 0, 4, 1, 0, 2, 2, 3, 4, 4, 0, and 5, negative 14. So again, our graph looks something like this. So again, starting with our domain, it's going to keep going to the left forever and to the right forever. So we say negative infinity to infinity. Our range, right, it goes down forever and up forever. So that's negative infinity to positive infinity. Where is it positive? We need to draw lines through our x-intercepts. We have an x-intercept here and an x-intercept here. Okay. And then positive is above the x-axis, negative is below the x-axis. So starting from negative infinity to this line, this part is above the x-axis, so that's negative infinity until this line was at 1. If we look at our next line, oh, this is still all positive. So that's 1 to 4. And then the next part is negative, right, dropping down to here. So that's starting at 4 and going till positive infinity because it's on the right-hand side. Now, for increasing and decreasing, we have to draw lines through our mins and our maxes. So I have a max here, and I have a min here. From the edge of the graph until our first one. That's all I wanted to do. Sorry, wrong color. It is decreasing, right? That's going from a higher point to a lower point. So decreasing from negative infinity until 1. The next part of our graph, right, from 1 to 4, is increasing. Starting here to here. And then the last part of our graph, right, from 4 to the end is decreasing again. Okay, so from 4 to infinity is decreasing. All right, that is it. I know, again, this was long. We will continue to do the rest of these problems, kind of show them again, and the calculator problems tomorrow in class.